Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 takeaways from the interview that I did with Edwin Arroyave this past Monday. And I released it into 2 parts because we went a little bit longer and because we just couldn't stop the conversation because he had so much amazing value to bring to this episode, which you'll see made it really hard for me to boil it down to just 3 takeaways. But I hope you guys make sure you go follow Edwin on Instagram at TedWinator. It's hilarious because his wife, Teddy Mellencamp, who a lot of you guys are probably familiar with, actually didn't allow him to have his own Instagram for a while. And so it was a shared Instagram called TedWinator. And then after a while, she got her own Instagram and it got really big. So she said it was okay for him to have his own Instagram, but she still hasn't let him change the name yet. But that's something that he's trying to work on. And Edwin, good luck in making that happen. But make sure you guys go back and listen to this episode, especially if you haven't. And if you have, you might even want to go to listen to it again so you can take down some notes and take away some actionable things that he described, because he did a great job of going through his process and going through his growth journey into building the business that he has today. So you guys can probably take a lot of things away and start to implement them into your day, into your week, in order to transform your life, in order to start growing your business, your life, your fitness, your health journey, whatever it is. I know there's so many things in here that you can start to do in order to make that happen. But let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is confidence comes from preparation. I think there's a lot of things that self-confidence can come from, but especially in business and especially in kind of really health and fitness too, is preparation can give you so much confidence. And he talked about this from a sales perspective early on in his life. The reason he had so much confidence as a salesman when he was early on, didn't really have any skills, was not good in school, graduated from high school with a 1.8 GPA, but he just prepared so hard. He knew the product. He talked about sales as not selling the person, but by informing them about the product. And if you look about it as informing them about the product, then preparation gives you so much confidence in order to inform them, because you have so much knowledge about it that you can talk about it for days and days and days. So he always studied for hours before his sales calls, and that way his rebuttals came second nature to him. Anytime somebody said something, he immediately knew the rebuttal because he studied so much, and because he studied, he had that confidence. I really loved his quote: "Knowledge gives you confidence, but ignorance gives you fear." If you're ignorant and you think that you're kind of already going to be okay without the preparation, then you're going to have fear going into a situation. I think there's kind of 2 different ways you can go into a situation. To me, nervousness and fear are 2 different things. To me, fear is out of ignorance. It's out of a lack of preparation. But nervousness is more just because you really care about the situation and you really care about doing well. So when you go into something and you feel a certain way, ask yourself, is this nervousness? Is it fear? Is it fear because I haven't prepared, or is it nervousness just because I really care about the situation? So takeaway number 2, purposes, problems, and freedom. I really loved how he kind of broke this down and how he talks about this and varying podcast episodes that I've seen and different videos that I've seen. And he broke this down. So in life, everybody needs purposes. We all need goals. We all need things to attack. But with those purposes come problems. So I think it's really important to just stop and think about it like that. Like if you have problems in your life, realize that that's okay, because if you have purposes, problems are inevitable. You're not going to be able to avoid those problems if you have a purpose. And the bigger the purpose, the bigger the problem. The lower the purpose, the lower the problem. So if you feel like you have a big problem, realize that your purpose is that big. So that's kind of a thing that you should be able to get excited about. And then when you solve the problem, you get a little bit of freedom. You have that celebration on the other side of it, and you can enjoy it for a little bit. But he also described it as restricted freedom, because if you give yourself complete freedom, then you never have any purposes, and then you never have any more problems to solve. And he talked about how as human beings, we were meant to solve problems. So if we give ourselves too much extended freedom, then that's when we kind of get depressed. That's when we kind of look towards other things to kind of generate our own problems. So again, purposes, problems, and freedom. It's kind of a cycle that you always want to create for yourself in order to grow in your life. Takeaway number 3 is if you don't experience the dream, you don't know that it exists. If you don't know what's possible, why would you work your butt off to try to make it happen? And that's something that he talked about when he was in LA. he would drive around Beverly Hills. He would see the houses. He would window shop into different things. He was really big into material things early on in his life, which really motivated him in order to get better and motivated him in order to make that money and be successful at sales. So because he saw those things, he was like, oh, that's something that other people have. He began to believe that he was capable of getting those things as well. And then the really big story that he talked about was how when he started to manage 40 people at 18 years old and started making $1,000 a week, he was like, okay, now I'm experiencing success. Now I'm experiencing something that others aren't doing. Like, I'm not seeing any other 18-year-olds manage 40 people, and let alone that these people are all older than him and have a little bit actually more knowledge and tangible skills than he does. But because he experienced that success, making that much money and managing that many people, he realized that the dream was possible. And then he was like, oh my gosh, now I'm just even more motivated. I'm going to take more action. I'm going to learn more and continue to grow and develop. So again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1, confidence comes from preparation. Knowledge gives you confidence. Ignorance gives you fear. Make sure that you do whatever you can to go into a situation not fearful, but prepared and nervous because you care about it. Number 2 is purposes, problems, and freedom. It's a cycle that we go through in life. We got to have purposes, and those purposes create problems. So be okay with the problem because the purpose was there. So get excited about that work. And then once you get it, celebrate that freedom, but in a restricted manner because it needs to have a continual cycle in order to grow. Number 3, if you don't experience the dream, you don't know it exists. We need to find a way to touch our dream, whether it's just through sitting down and have quiet visualization. Maybe it's driving around, seeing the houses, seeing the nice cars, to know that it's there in order to motivate us to work our butt off in order to get there. I hope you guys really enjoyed these 3 takeaways from Edwin. I know that was a long episode. There's 2 parts to it, so make sure that you go back and listen to those if you have not yet already. Make sure you follow him on Instagram at Tedwinator. Make sure you follow his wife too at Teddy Mellencamp. They just got some awesome stuff. They're super inspiring people, and they're super authentic people. That's one of the things I want to make sure I stress and get across is they're put in the limelight a lot. They're on the Housewives of Beverly Hills, and so they're on TV all the time, but they're super authentic people. I met them down at the Super Bowl last February, and they couldn't have been nicer, and they couldn't have been more authentic, and kind of in an arena where it's very likely that a lot of people aren't very authentic when they're having conversations with people. So make sure you follow them and everything like that over on Instagram. But other than that, guys, I hope you can use something here from Edwin, from these takeaways, in order to get closer and closer to your best you.